already into Group D. No pauses. No pauses, no little break. As all the players are ready. This might offset if the mainstream takes forever. And this goes very, very, short games. But I don't think it will. I have a lot to say about these two players. And TVT in general, and Terran in general. And I have just a lot of feelings and opinions. So I'll get into it after the player introductions. In the bottom right is the red Terran. It is Team Liquid's uThermal. In the top left, as the blue Terran, he is Splice's TY. Hoping to join his teammate Stats first in his group, maybe, or at the very least, please, 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 and TY, thank you. Please make it out of this group, TY. I think a lot of people are putting their hopes on TY to at least make it third. See some talk about Bunny because he's kind of been up and up, right? I'm really hesitant to start pinning my hopes on Bunny, though, just because every time it seems like he's on the upswing again, he abruptly trips and falls and goes into a downswing. So I'm gonna, hold off on that one and see what his first series looks like, and then I'll pass judgment. But TY is usually a bit more consistent, generally considered the player that's gonna get through. Is he always? Absolutely not. Sometimes he also is a bit of a disappointment, as Terran has been a bit in this tournament entirely. But I think that's where most people are looking towards, is the Terran getting through. And everyone knows TY, hopefully. If you don't, just know that he is usually a pretty passive Terran, even in TVT, although he is truly mixing things up right now. Before I get into the nitty-grittiness of the build orders, though, in the bottom right, I talked about uThermal and Team Liquid, right? He actually got seeded into this group stage. He won the European server qualifier, which is quite impressive. There's still a number of Koreans that played in that and got far in that, and also just a lot of other good European players, right? So that was a really good result for him, but he has been disappointing. He lost his WCS group, which was a big surprise. Maybe not as big a surprise as some other groups, but still, he didn't think that was going to happen. He got out fourth. And also maybe has some problems with consistency. Kind of one big spike for Shanghai years ago, and then some other spikes here and there, but has struggled. And might struggle against TY. TVT, I think, is an amazing thing to watch. We are getting potentially, not this game maybe, but maybe the next two games. One of those action-packed Terrans versus the more passive Terran. We'll see. TY really is mixing things up, though. Not just a 1-1-1, which you rarely see anymore. It's oftentimes a factory expand or a one-racks expand. He's also going for an extreme number of Reapers. I mean, this is actually kind of an absurd attack. And uThermal, rightly thinking, like, I'm fine with the army I have, didn't build a bunker, didn't have his units on the high ground, and didn't make more units himself. He is trying to utilize these very micro-intensive units to the best of his ability, but unfortunately transfers the SCD at the worst possible time. He does have a wall in the main, and man, if this had shown itself just a couple of seconds earlier, uThermal would not have had those SCDs down there. I've been trying to micro this and save it. Whoa, whoa, whoa! He actually lets this through? That's awfully dangerous. Even though he might have been target firing the Hellions, if they get two shots off on the SCDs, it could have been bad news, but it looks like it'll be okay. Very annoying medevac micro coming into play now for roll both of them. Yeah, uThermal didn't scout this at all, so he had no indication it would be an aggressive build. He was probably thinking it's TY, that's the worst he could do, probably just a factory expand, if anything. And he was a little wrong, so he loses 6 SCVs in total, is it? That only puts him down by 3, and he still has the faster command center because TY, again, fully to the 1-1-1, not just the factory expand. It's not the worst thing there. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. It also could have been a little bit better, if we're being real. The supply depot, you're shoving a wall off, could have made it a little bit better. Things were handled, and we're at the point that we're at right now, which is uThermal, even on workers, getting to his own Raven, both of them with a medevac micro. This is actually one of those situations that I think we found in, oh, I want to say like group, it might have been yesterday, but I think it was more like Tuesday. I don't remember what TVT it was, but whoever it was, they went into a 1 base, like 1-1-1, did a bunch of damage, but then kind of fell behind with the command center timing. And the next game, I was like, man, I hope they don't go for the starport because I didn't do anything. This is one of those games, too. I don't think TY's addition of a medevac was worth the later command center. And maybe he agrees, maybe not. But This could have potentially been more of a lead, I suppose. This is more just to give you guys context as to why maybe the true 1-1-1 all the way up to the start point has really fallen off. Follow-up push is almost ready to go, but uThermal, a little head on workers, is rather even on that army supply, so I don't think you should be worried. This is actually kind of a nice, bold medevac. Oh my god, he actually baits on an interference matrix too. That's actually really nice. I would sacrifice a medevac for an interference matrix in this scenario for sure. Would it have been better if he hadn't lost it? Yes, that is true. But he scouts the incoming army, can reposition, and now he has one less interference matrix to deal with. I would take that. Oh, being very bold, however, trying to split his army. He's got 2 Ravens, but they were a little late to the fight. I don't know if this is ultimately worth it. The Viking landing also adding a ton of DPS to the mechanical units here. It looks like uThermal will hold as expected, but considering his Raven advantage, if they were in place ready to go, he probably could have bopped this. Instead, it just ends up being an okay hold. He's going to lose the Viking war? Did TY over micro right there? I don't even know. Uh-oh, he's going to lose a Raven. Didn't repair it. Didn't repair it. He's going to lose it. Does take out one of the tanks, and TY has to temporarily give up position. Good fact to know, guys. Kairos Junction does not let you attack the SCVs. This is very intentional from the map designer. You better believe it. So TY is forced to retreat, but I'd still hold that could have been a little bit better for uThermal. He was preparing for any type of follow-up because his scouting is still so damn limited. So he had his Ravens and Viking more in a anti-medevac drop, anti-Banshee appearance type of zone. But again, the game goes on, and uThermal, still with the faster economy here, his third CC is already done as an orbital. TY placing him on location. He's not going to be too far behind, but this is really top tier TVT. They both seem to be quite on point today, which is really great. They both are maybe, potentially getting more or less than they should. Both relying on these very positional units, which TY is kind of a god of positioning, so we would generally consider him to do better in this type of scenario, but uThermal is kind of matching him. Has lost all of his Ravens, however, and that's a little scary. The Vikings landing here for TY means that tank is not going to go down there. You can see uThermal's thought process. He wanted that tank so bad. Okay, so this is really important. 1-1 is so far ahead for uThermal. Right now, it might not be that important, but when you get up to the actual Marine battles, where the concaves and the DPS trade out of Marine starts to matter, 1-1 will be a huge deal. uThermal also playing pretty conservative here as he continues to get a bit better of the macro game. He's going for 2 center towers right off the bat as soon as his third base is saturated. It's a little late to the Viking, I guess, harassment, but that's okay. The point is he will have full vision of everything going on his side of the map. Now, uThermal might still be feeling a little... Okay, he's 4 SCVs killed. uThermal might still be feeling a little pinned back. His double center tower is just generally a good idea. Yeah, his situation is just generally good. Yeah, of course. But when you're in TVT, especially if you're usually the more aggressive player, which uThermal usually is, and your vision on the map looks like this, it doesn't feel that great. But it should change as soon as he got 2 medevacs out, if he ever can. So much been about the Vikings and the tanks, hasn't it? That'll change very quickly, and as long as you don't take severe losses because you're finding yourself out of position, which he shouldn't, you'll be fine. Upgrades continue to take a dominating lead instantly into that 2-2, though he is late to his combat shields. I don't think, as long as he remembers combat shields at all, I don't think it'll be the deciding factor, but oh my god, he's forgetting it. uThermal, not like this. Not like this, uThermal. Yeah, I mean, a 1-1 upgrade advantage would maybe make up a little bit for combat shields, but not enough. You need combat shields. uThermal, no, don't. Alright. And before anyone's like, oh, Zombie so uThermal biased, I actually love both these players, and I want both of them to do good things in life. So I'm just really genuinely emotional. But TY, as I think for a lot of people, as I was saying earlier, right? It's just like you expect him to do better. You expect him to be the solid player here. So just unintentionally thinking that uThermal is going to be able to mess up is why I'm panicking. Combat shields finally starts as he realizes perhaps his late timing on that. There's really no reason for it to not have already started, so that was just late. His 4CC is going to be a little later than TY. I think that was just a regular timing for uThermal, but also seeing the sensor tower, you know where they're how their fourth is coming down timing-wise. We're going to have a bit of a stalemate in the middle of the map. Vikings initially going in favor of uThermal, but now transitioning back to TY's favor. This is going to go into the late game TVT, and we are going to probably see additional starports slap down in the next 2 minutes. Love us more, says Spice. Can't help it. It's also just, I think a lot of people sometimes like confuse like caster bias on a player for caster bias on the defending player. They're the ones that you're trying to make sure are actually reacting appropriately, where TY has been really in control of this game, though he has not made any leaps forward advantage-wise. They are very, very even, except for the 2-2. And you know what? TY really screwing up here. Already layered to the 2-2, more of a build order thing, but now actually screwing up as a late +2 armor. But finding a bit of a hole here, he not only finds the command center liftoff and some SCVs, he also finds 2 tanks, a couple of Marines also that are not doing anything, and the 4th base has to be evacuated. So a nice find there for TY. The first really big advantage that TY has made for himself with all of his aggression. He also is going to get a couple of reactors in an instant. Suddenly uThermal falling apart. Vikings on top of his planetary, would-be planetary. The 4th command center looks like it's going to go down here unless it's a mass repair. No, the Vikings not going to go for it. Yes, they are going to go for it. Please, yeah, save it. Oh my god. He's not repairing it though, and uThermal is just going to go for the counterattack. He's going for the production of TY. Is this actually going to work out here? His Marines have 2-2, but they're being really overstand. The single tank on the high ground, and there is a single tank on the high ground. Would do so much damage to this. Oh my good lord. He's going to take the natural position. He's going to siege up whatever tanks he has here. He left some back at home to make sure that base... No, he didn't save the command center. But he does stop the natural command center from even mining. Is that good enough? 16, 17 SCVs go down. TY can't break back into his natural base. He can't quite secure his main either as long as uThermal has scans. And this game is certainly not over. TY with a bit bigger of a bank. Now also getting ahead in the upgrade to +3 on the way. uThermal can't really disengage from this position. If he leaves his tanks, they will be concaved on. They will be lost. But that might be the only thing he really can do. If he unsieges them, then he also might still be pounced upon. No, he's actually going to pounce on TY. Is that the right call? He's going up against a bit more of a choke than his opponent as TY collapses in. But no, for the south side, uThermal with more reinforcements takes out TY's army and now tries to move over to this 3rd base, but it's going to be defended by a single tank. Both of them just exchanging blow after blow, but it's TY at the end of the day who manages to save all 4 command centers. Even though he lost SCVs, he's already replaced them. He already had so many to begin with. It's TY after all. And now uThermal, now that he can finally take a chill pill, might try and lift his main command center to get the 4th, might try and afford 400 minerals to get them. Most importantly is starting his 3-3 upgrades. It's possible that if he stays on top of his upgrades, it'll just take a really good fight and his force CC won't matter as much. Speaking of which, he finds TY a little caught off guard here. And don't forget, TY's army supply is a lot in those Vikings. Oh, that stim to get on top of that tank. Oh, but he does find the position, takes out the center tower as well. Oh, and the big shots from the tanks on top of TY's Marines was huge. Extra production going down. TY, perhaps being a little bit greedy, was going into a 5th base, considering that he had this on lockdown with his center towers, but he was not right. Oh my gosh, uThermal's being so aggressive. Another stim on already injured Marines, but it was Liberators, not really a ton of tanks firing at them. Now there are, though. Tanks holding the line. TY still with 2 Vikings. uThermal can't really afford to go back into the air war. He's utilizing these cheap Marines to the best of their ability. But good God. This has been a very action-packed game. TY almost getting broken on his 3rd. Now is rewarded for this faster 5th. Is going to place it in a forward position, giving a stopping point for uThermal. Every time that uThermal has tried to jump on top of TY's tanks, now there's going to be a planetary perhaps. Wait, he's lifting his main there? Oh, interesting. So it's not going to be as strong of a position to hold, but it's... He's still already got the tanks out here. He's got Liberators. He's got the Viking control. He lost those 2 starports. That was supposed to be the transition, but he's now producing Liberators since he still has the Vikings. Again, he doesn't, you know, it could easily change if uThermal tried to go that way, but uThermal knows how expensive that would be to try and win the air war. And, oh, he never repaired this command center. It's going to go down. This is not a 4th base. It was his main lifted over. He's going for a desperate drop into the main base, but oh my god, TY not quite ready to go. He's got Liberators sieging up. If they take out the tanks, that might be worth it, or they might just be avoided entirely. No, they're going to have to take 1 tank. The 2nd tank gets taken down. This drop did not work out as well as uThermal was hoping for. Meanwhile, he is getting broken on his natural base. A slugfest of a TVT, but one that ultimately ends in TY's favor. GG. TVT's the best matchup. That was some sick play from uThermal. Anyone who's like, foreigners, pff, you just need to go ahead and shut up right now. The only reason that even, like, went in TY's favor is because TY is actually just that fucking good. Like, seriously. Probably not supposed to curse that harshly on a stream, but whatever. Apparently the mainstream match is still going on. If Lambo did it, I can do it. I didn't realize he dropped the F word. Looks like we have Maynard watching this game too, as Caster C. He better highlight how good that game was. Whenever they get back to him on the desk. What is with these Terrans and bringing it in the very last unimportant match of the day? Innovation, please. Could this game be any closer than the last game? I don't think so. But I hope it's just as good. In the top right is the blue Terran. It is TY. In the bottom left is the red Terran. It is uThermal. Started off that game not scouting, getting a little surprised by TY's huge Reaper bust. Didn't actually end up going that well. Then follow-up, still not doing a lot of scouting. He can't. He's being pressured too often. TY does a follow-up tank push. uThermal holds, again, being a little out of position. Still an even game. Follow-up, TY. More tank pushes on the third CC. Doesn't actually work out. uThermal holds. Then uThermal, perhaps with a major mistake of forgetting combat shields. It didn't impact, excuse me, any of the battles, which is the scariest thing that can happen, right, when you forget an upgrade. But it might have impacted his momentum. You could see that he was posturing in the middle of the map, looking for opportunities to find his opponents, not sieged, caught off guard with less Marines or less tanks or whatever, right? And he couldn't without combat shields, and it's still better that he realized it and then pulled back and was conservative because of it, but obviously the best case scenario is that he started at the exact same time as TY and had that 1-1 upgrade lead. In general, really, as I think back to that last game, uThermal had the advantages. He had double Raven to 1 Raven with no energy, or barely any energy, and he had the upgrade lead, which is huge with how even they were getting into the mid-game of TVT. If you can do it again, this time get combat shields, perhaps, I guess also maybe miss a turret or two in the main base, because TY's one run-by / drop really did throw uThermal off guard on top of maybe the lacking of combat shields. Then uThermal can be even stronger when he pushes like he did. Now they're both going to the full-on 1-1-1. I'm still surprised by this. uThermal does have some guys off of gas, so it's not like full total dedication, I suppose, but it is going up to the starport, so no factory expanse. Oh, really nice by uThermal. TY, like many Terrans, will follow up any sort of game, actually, with a proxy starport. most Terrans kind of agreeing that you don't really want to proxy T-Rex anymore, but proxying a starport is still fair game, whether you are one basing it or two basing it. So nice find there. That was about like halfway, so that is kind of a brutal loss. Excuse me, but was he already making a second starport? This is already like 60% done. Am I crazy? Okay. Well, that was either really fast put down or I was actually going for 2 starports. Anyways. I don't think you can afford 2 starports. Command center goes down for uThermal, as he was the less committed one to that gas. They both have a decent number of these mostly harassment units, but when it comes down to a fight like this, they can actually decide the game. And you know what TY has not been doing in these games? He hasn't been walling off. uThermal has been anti-Reapering walling off. And I guess in this case, he's not actually walled off to Hellions, but whoever takes the victory with this type of fight and there's not a wall off, games have ended, for sure. Oh, wow, uThermal's gonna push up here. It's going a bit better for him. He's getting the SCVs. He's getting on top of the one last Hellion. Marine's about to pop out. Liberator pops out, but that can't really help against this mobile composition, and it's not gonna make up for this damage. This is so good. And the Liberator from uThermal gets situated long before TY's. This is game-ending damage. uThermal finding the holes in TY's play, playing as aggressive, really, as TY, and then also finding TY's proxy. He's got a Viking already ready to go. I mean, TY is not going to tap out because he knows he's pretty damn good at TVT, but this is actually such a bad game. Yeah, he's going to tap out. uThermal takes game number 2. Was it not IEM last year that he took on Innovation and won, and people were like, what? No. Seriously? I think it was. One pretty long game, one pretty short game. What's going to happen in game number 3? TY opening up the 1-1-1s. Going for the proxy starport. Playing TVT. But still a little off what we'd expect from normal TY play. Maybe he goes back to what we know him best for? Or maybe has a point to prove. That he can beat this cheeky little foreigner in the early game. Spam this shark to help Mark. Well, you gotta rhyme with something on the emotes. You gotta do it. Now Zombie is sad. I'm pretty sure people would say I was uThermal biased in that first game. So how am I TY biased in the second? You know what it is? I'm just sad when these guys lose. And it's inevitable. That one of them has to lose. I would want draws until the end of the day, where they both are crowned the victor because they had 24 draws, but I don't think that's going to happen. All tied up. Ooh, yes. How is this game gonna go? I think I've used all my hype here in game number 1 and 2. Whatever series happens after this, I don't care anymore. uThermal is sending out 2 SCVs. Is he really gonna 2-rax in this game? No. This is maybe gonna backfire. The top right has the blue Terran. It is TY. And the bottom left has the red Terran. It is uThermal. Oh my god. TY, I just talked about it, has gone for a 1-1-1 every single game. And most likely, even if he were to play the macro game, he would go for a factory expand. The uThermal playing with fire here, either hoping that TY is like, you know what, I'm done with it, let's go ahead and want to expand without scouting, or is hoping that his micro is superior. TY is going to add on a scout to his, what may be a factory expand, as usually you don't SCV scout if you're in a 1-1-1, although you can, like, especially if you're going to use the Reaper combination with the SCV. And that seems to be bad news for uThermal, but uThermal has done this before in situations that looked even more grim and still made it work. His Reaper micro is really damn good. Really. I was called stupid and silly and foreigner biased for saying that uThermal at one point maybe even had better Reaper micro than any of the Koreans. Let's see if he can prove that that might be true here today, right now. As TY sees it's going to be a proxy 2-racks, he's going to get mentally prepared. He was already probably going to add on that second Reaper. His build does not have to be changed here, but he might be a little more, you know, prepared. If your Reaper gets sent out because you think you're going to be the aggressive one and they are 2-racksing you and you don't know that, then that could also lead to a victory for your opponent. But if you keep it at home, if you pull the SCVs, then things should be good for the defensive player. You have a much faster factory, and TY also is going to have a much faster starport, and he is, in fact, going to place it in proxy. Very deadly to the 2-racks Reapering player. This is really bold here for uThermal. He's placing down a bunker. Marine pops out as it's the faster unit to create out of the barracks. It also has some constant DPS. It's not as microable as Reapers, that's true, but it is generally the best thing you can get after your first one. And then a Hellion pops out. Things not looking so hot for uThermal's build order choice. His bunker is just a little bit... I mean, it really was supposed to get up and ready to go, but on the off chance that either the SCV soaks up a shot or doesn't soak up any shots and actually completes the bunker, it could have been worth it. Oh, the Reaper went down. Second Hellion's out here. One Reaper's getting very low. It is going to get targeted. uThermal's going to have to wait for his fourth Reaper. Once, oh, he lost the second Reaper. Okay, that might actually be it. If you can get to 5 Reapers to get a concave on these Hellions, then I think you're actually very capable of snowballing, but losing the Reapers like that, that might be too much. uThermal's not going to try and go into a factory, but the starport is so much faster for UTUI. The Liberator will cause permanent lost mining time, and uThermal will have to tap out. It was a very, very, very bold move for uThermal to go for this 2-racks after their first 2 games. But it didn't work out in this one. I think he's trying to block the tech lab, force the factory to lift off. uThermal knows he's dead with the Liberator, so he's going to try and do whatever he can with the Reapers, but it is game, guys. One last desperate fight here. The Hellions already getting some nice shots off on the Reapers, so they're so low. Good micro. uThermal has lost all of his SCVs. Pull the SCVs, I guess. By that time, a 4th Hellion will be out, and uThermal's gambit didn't work out. Such a ballsy choice for game number 3. It's the first match of the group, though. And losing to TY is no shame. He's trying to get that concave on the Hellions now. Oh, if he had 3 more Reapers, this is a possible win. GG. TY takes the series. Just risky builds.